Welcome to Municipal Affairs. In just a few hours on Wednesday, March 19th, the Saskatchewan government will unveil its provincial budget, a critical moment for municipalities across the province. Local leaders are watching closely, hoping for the funding and support they need to maintain infrastructure, deliver essential services, and plan for future growth. Saskatchewan municipalities, both urban and rural, play a vital role for the province's economy and quality of life. But each year they face growing challenges, aging roads and bridges, rising service costs, and the ongoing need for economic development. The big question this year is, will this year's budget deliver the support they need? To get a clearer picture of what municipalities are looking for, we sat down with Randy Goulden, president of the Saskatchewan Urban Municipalities Association. President Goulden shared her thoughts on what she hopes to see and what's at stake if those needs aren't met.
President Goulden, we are a few days away from the 2025 provincial budget here in the province of Saskatchewan. What does SUMA want? What does SUMA need? And what does SUMA expect to hear? Let's start with the wants. What does SUMA, the municipalities across the urban sector in Saskatchewan, want from this budget?
Well, quite frankly, when we have engagement with our members, because it's what our members need, all those urbans across Saskatchewan, what do they need? What are they requiring to be able to provide that great quality of life, places to do business across the province? We need infrastructure. I don't think this is anything new. We need some infrastructure funding. We need support from other orders of government because our budgets and our revenues cannot continue to support this. So I know that the provincial government has heard this from me many, many times, but that is definitely what we need.
Are you expecting it?
Well, we're going to be getting an announcement at the SARM convention around what revenue sharing will be. But of course, there's a lot that goes into that revenue sharing. We're looking at specific infrastructure funding, and that may be partnership with the federal government. And as you know, there's more than likely going to be an election, so it may take some time, but we want commitment that when that comes out, that our province will be a partner in that.
Rural healthcare, remote healthcare, mental health and addiction, homelessness. This was the backbone of what the last provincial budget was. We're in this economic uncertain time right now with everything going on in China, with tariffs on canola, with Donald Trump and tariffs on everything. Are you apprehensive about potentially municipalities will be pinched a little bit because of what's going on globally and how it affects the province of Saskatchewan?
Well, there are a lot of things going on globally, but we have to look after the residents that live in our communities and the mental health, the addictions, all the things that are around that, including health, rural health. We have to look after that. And provincial government recognizes that that's happening. So what is happening externally, we have to find a way to work together. And a lot of that is around funding. We know that we need staff. It's wonderful to build facilities. We're hearing from some members, they're getting some new facilities. They're concerned, where are we getting the staff from? Retaining and recruiting staff is very, very important. And the equipment that they need to work on. So we need to continue to have those discussions. But at the end of the day, those discussions have to turn out to be something that is going to show results that are happening in our communities. Because this is where the people live. They don't live in the legislative buildings. They live in our communities.
Do you think the province is listening? Because if I would have had this conversation with you last year, we would probably have had the exact same conversation. But infrastructure seems to be an ongoing challenge for municipalities. Do you feel like you're being heard by the government when you're talking about these issues?
Well, I'm hoping that we're going to be heard, and we're giving them solutions. So some of the solutions may be, for instance, on the PST. They removed the exemption for the PST from the labor portion of construction. So when we do come up with the funding for our infrastructure, we're penalized. We have to pay the PST. So that is one option, that they can put that exemption back on and immediately infuse dollars into the communities that are doing the infrastructure. So hopefully they're going to take heed at the solutions we're giving them. And yes, are there bigger problems? Absolutely. But what we've asked them to do too is to sit down and talk with us. Let's just not being talked to. We want to be talked with. And that includes all our stakeholders, our partners like SARM. We have to work together because there's so many things that we need to work together on, and the PST is one of them.
During a media scrum at the 2025 SARM convention in Saskatoon last week, Leader of the official opposition and Saskatchewan NDP leader Carla Beck took to the podium and told the media what she hopes to see in this year's budget.
You know, we're into some incredibly interesting times right now, and I think that is to say the least. A lot of the challenges, though, that we saw facing communities, Saskatchewan people, before the threat of tariffs continue. We heard concerns about healthcare. We need to see action on healthcare and ensuring that people in this province can get access to the healthcare that they need. I heard the Premier say that there was some openness to signing the child care agreement as something that impacts families, but also is economic infrastructure in this province and is very much important when it comes to the affordability crisis that people were already feeling before this latest round of tariff threats, something that we need to see addressed in this province. Concerns about education for sure, but we also need to be thinking big at this time, at this moment. What we will be looking for from all levels of government are major investments into that trade-enabling infrastructure. Infrastructure like rail lines, pipelines, looking at power lines and twinning of the Trans-Canada Highway. That's something that we'll be looking for, a signal that there's a willingness to invest here in the province, but also federally. If the last few months have told us anything, it is that we are in changed times. We cannot rely we cannot be overly dependent on the United States. We need to get east-west trade moving in this country. We need to make those investments. We have to meet the challenge that we're facing here, not just for today, not just to get rid of or get past this moment and this threat, but really to look to the future of this province and this country. So those are a few of the things that we will be looking for in that budget.
Budget 2025 will be a topic of much discussion in a few days. But last week at the Saskatchewan Association of Rural Municipalities Convention in Saskatoon, Premier Scott Moe addressed the needs and wants that he is expecting Saskatchewan municipalities to see in this year's budget.
Well, so if you see the tariff contingencies that I've seen in other budgets at this point in time are deficit spending. And so whether you have them in the original budget or whether they're required throughout the year, the result is the same. What I would say is, and I'm not going to jump in front of our Minister of Finance on what some of the numbers may or may not look like next week, but this is a budget very much that is going to deliver in the priorities that we had outlined, not only in the campaign, but in our speech from the throne. Continuing to ensure that Saskatchewan is the most affordable place to live, access to healthcare providers and surgeries, access and funding being provided, building on some of the successes that we have seen, for example, the specialized support classrooms to improve our K-3 outcomes, and to work with our school divisions to ensure that we actually are achieving higher levels of outcomes in that K-3 space, and we know what a high educational outcome at grade 3 will provide in the way of opportunities for that student who again is our child and grandchild in grades 4 through 12 and throughout their life. And last but not least is addressing the scourge of drugs that have entered our continent, our nation, our province, and our communities. And we are very much focused on providing those recovery opportunities, but increasing the law enforcement and the laws that we have the ability to increase provincially, the consequences for those that are bringing that poison into our communities, and we'll work with the federal government on that as well. That is really what you're going to see a focus on in this budget, and I don't think that would be a surprise because that was the priorities. Those were exactly the priorities that we had put forward in our speech from the throne. With respect to the numbers, I'll defer to our Minister of Finance, and I'll allow him for 1 week until he introduces the budget.
Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Municipal Affairs. Now, we will be live at the Budget 2025 in Regina, so be sure to head over to our YouTube channel and give us a follow there, because we will be going live and getting live reaction from budget, from the legislature, from mayors and stakeholders from across the province of Saskatchewan. So you will not want to miss that. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform, or again on YouTube, and follow us on social media at Cross Border Networks on all the social media platforms. To learn more about the people and communities that we feature on this show and our sister shows, The Political Trenches, Local Government at Work, and the Cross Border Interviews, head over to the website crossborderinterviews.ca. It helps us get the word out. Also, your support means the world to us. So if you can, share this episode with your friends, your family, and yes, even your community. Help get the word out. We are doing this, and we want to continue to bring you more great shows like you saw today. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and we're back with a brand new episode of Municipal Affairs shortly. Till then, everyone.